A major babyface turn just took place on Raw, so we'll see what's happening there. We'll also check out what's new with John Cena, Seth Rollins, and more. Starting things off with this major face turn on Raw. Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler have been terrorizing Raw with their new trio for several weeks now. But the one other trio that's been stepping to the plate against them in recent weeks has been Damage Control. And when this faction versus faction battle started, fans were trying to figure out which group were the heels here. And it looks like recent few editions of Raw has provided the answer for that. It's Damage Control that has turned babyface to go up against Sonya's new trio. Damage Control has been playing the role of hero in recent weeks by saving other women from Sonya's trio, and that appears to mark their official face turn. It's a pretty fresh direction for Damage Control. They've been heels ever since they first arrived on the main roster, seen back in summer 2022. So after a 2-year heel run, the group is now babyfaces, and will now enter a whole new dynamic for the group. Everyone's very excited to see what they end up doing with the babyface Kairi Sane, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and maybe even Asuka once she's back from her injury hiatus. A recent edition of Raw featured an absolute brutal beatdown for former world champion Seth Rollins. After a quick confrontation with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins found himself as a victim to Bronson Reed. Now, the story there was that Bronson Reed was a bit frustrated with his lack of opportunities on Raw. So it looks like in order to make a name for himself and put some spotlight back on him, he decided to unleash this brutal attack on a big star like Seth Rollins. Bronson Reed splashed on Seth Rollins an endless amount of times. He jumped on Rollins so much that the crowd eventually started loving it and wanting to see even more splashes. But what was the significance of this Raw moment? Well, reports claim it was meant to once again write Seth Rollins off of television in order for him to fully heal up some of his injuries. Seth returned to WWE television back in June after 3 months away. But since his June return, he literally only wrestled one time, and that was at Money in the Bank against Damian Priest. So that right there is a little bit of a red flag itself. He made his big return, but only wrestled one match in almost 2 months. So it looks like he was kept out of the ring to protect himself since he was already being banged up. So now Seth will go off television for an unknown amount of time, but hopefully come back as close to 100% as possible. Fans also think that this massive attack from Bronson Reed could also mark the end of Seth Rollins' current persona. Over the last few years, Seth Rollins has been known for his bizarre outfits, his catchy singing theme song, and just being a bit more unserious from his prior work in WWE. So some fans are wondering if this magnitude of this attack from Reed will cause Seth Rollins to put his current persona on the back burner and return to a more serious demeanor and theme song. Prior to the Reed attack, it already looked like Seth Rollins was getting more serious with his current issues against CM Punk. So what if the attack really was to push Seth Rollins off the edge, to return to a more serious persona? Not only a serious persona, but what about a heel turn as well? If Seth Rollins returned as a serious heel character, that could be the perfect contrast to go up against CM Punk. But with Seth Rollins being an unquestioned heel and CM Punk still being a babyface, WWE could have Seth and Punk collide in a big match in late 2024 or even WrestleMania 41. So that's what makes this recent attack on Seth Rollins so exciting, because the potential and possibilities of what he could look like when he gets back is endless. Will he still hold on to the same current babyface persona, or is Seth Rollins about to switch it up in a big way and come for superstars like CM Punk, but as a heel this time around? Very exciting possibilities there. Speaking of CM Punk, let's take a look at what's new for his storyline on Raw. Punk and Drew met at SummerSlam in a pretty amazing match in terms of in-ring action and overall storytelling. CM Punk had Drew McIntyre beat on several occasions, but the constant distraction with the bracelet was enough to leave open the door for Drew McIntyre to sneak up and capitalize for the win. After spending most of the match trying to get his bracelet back, the match ended with Drew McIntyre taking the bracelet back into his possession, and in the SummerSlam post-show, Drew McIntyre could be seen wearing the bracelet, but bragging about how everything with CM Punk is behind him and over with. But we saw in the August 5th edition of Raw that things aren't over at all there. Drew McIntyre didn't directly answer CM Punk's call-out, but he did pop up through the crowd to try and get under Punk's skin even more. Drew McIntyre showed off the bracelet again and claimed how he had Larry and AJ Lee in his corner. That was all CM Punk had to hear in order to go and chase Drew McIntyre. So telling by that latest interaction there between Drew and Punk, this feud doesn't seem over at all. There's still unfinished business there, with the biggest side narrative being that Drew still has the bracelet. WWE is the big Berlin premium live event coming up in a few weeks, so it's a possibility to have the next Drew McIntyre and CM Punk match there. Or if they want to hold on to a later event, that's possible as well. But it seems clear that things between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre aren't over at all. Some fans were going crazy over, yet again, another AJ Lee name drop on WWE television, hoping that the constant name drop leads towards some more type of cameo return from AJ. But it seems very unlikely. CM Punk continues to say that he'd love to see a return from AJ, but that her schedule is just too hectic to pull that off right now. Triple H recently cleared the air on the time frame for John Cena's big WWE return for the farewell tour. Triple H said that John Cena will return to WWE in the very early weeks of 2025 to set up his farewell tour for the rest of the year. John Cena even hyped it up himself recently by saying that it won't be sad or bittersweet. He believes it's going to be fun all the way through, and how making it fun will be their main focus. With John Cena coming down to the final few matches in his career, it has fans fantasy booking some big rematches and big first-time ever matches for John Cena during this final run. A big popular topic of discussion surrounding John Cena in recent years has always been the question of his potential 17th world title. Will he break the tie with Ric Flair and win that last world title? Well, the speculation talk finally comes to an end in 2025, because since it's his last active year in WWE, this will be his last shot at winning the title. John Cena has 2 world titles he can go after to win this historic 17th title, and that's the WWE title or the World Heavyweight title. Now, with the WWE title, its future plans already seem locked in. Cody's going to hold that title up until a future match with The Rock. So there doesn't appear to be any room for John Cena to sneak in a title reign there. But where it could be possible at is with the World Heavyweight title. Obviously, no one knows who will be the World Heavyweight Champion during the peak of John Cena's farewell tour in 2025. Maybe it's Gunther, maybe it's someone else. But if they're going to have Cena break the tie, common sense makes it seem like they'll do it with the World Heavyweight title. So that's something to keep an eye on as well during John Cena's farewell tour. Will he bring up the chase for the 17th world title, and will he get it done? Those are the big questions to ask. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.